Yeah, I think that's us, Richard. We're live. Everybody should be able to hear you and should be able to hear me. I don't think there's anyone in the chat yet to tell us. Hello to everybody eventually coming and watching on the second time on the non-live. Welcome to episode 1, because episode 0 was an introduction where we talked about basically nothing, but it was good. So this week we're going to talk about the story of David and how the story of David... Richard, you explain it better than me. I would just be paraphrasing.
I'd be happy to. Peace and respect to you all. Welcome to episode 1. Aptly named because, as MathPig said, episode 0 wasn't... I don't know, it was just a lot of interesting conversation and interaction with side chat, which I enjoyed, actually. But we didn't get very far in the story for certain. So at the end of episode 0, we promised we would, or I committed to talking about the travel of David and why it could easily be describing a planet in our solar system. And I'd like to go over that today because I think it helps people to, I don't know, see the plausibility of this as an explanation rather than a history lesson, which I think the history of the Bible is well disproven anyway. But moving on. Okay, so there's a section in the text where David hears Goliath talking a bunch of smack, and all of the Israelites are very, very scared of him, and no one will go down to face him. And because David was interacting closely with his brothers and with Saul at the time, he says to Saul, "I'll go down and I'll take care of this Philistine, this godless man, and he will be defeated because our God is the true God." And Saul says, "Well, you're not a warrior, and Goliath has been a warrior since his youth." He says, "You're certainly going to lose. You're just going to get yourself killed. It's not going to do any good for you to even go down to him." So David says, "Not true." He says, and this is where this part of it begins right here. David's father's house, Jesse's house, is in Bethlehem. If you look up the direct translation of the words, it's actually a 3-part word. Bethlehem means house of bread. Now, there's something else called the house of bread. It's the constellation Virgo. The constellation Virgo, the house of bread, the virgin with the sheaves of wheat. So the virgin of the with the sheaves of wheat is a description. Virgo is a shortened name, but actually, literally, house of bread is the name of the constellation. It's a constellation. That's all that it is.
Now,
Go ahead.
The house of bread would be Virgo, the actual meaning of Virgo, because obviously the constellation is named many different things from many different people. It's just Virgo is the Roman one that we use.
Well, I am referring to our culture going back to the ancient Near East and the way they look at it. I'm not talking about China.
Oh, I understand that, yes. But did they actually refer to it as Virgo? That would be before, they're...
Yes, that's older than Judaism.
The actual constellation, obviously, but Virgo is older as Romans. There's also different names for the constellation. That's what I'm saying. There's different names for the constellation that are older than the Roman one that we use.
That's true. Those are different expressions. Those are not Judaic expressions.
Have you looked into the meanings of them, though?
It's a part of the story. It's not in the Bible.
Okay, right. So it's different from the Bible. Sorry, go on ahead.
Oh, it's absolutely fine. No, I totally believe that everyone has their own expression that makes sense to them in their culture. But I'm only talking about the Hebrew and into our culture.
Cool. Geo,
there are just like the word Goliath last week. Yes, there's other definitions for it. And yes, those other definitions are different, but I am talking about Old Testament here.
Yeah, just as a reference to episode 1, I know I made a mistake, or episode 0. We did eventually find that meaning, and I've shown it to Richard, so he has seen that meaning that I did mention in the last one. Geo says, I'm building something. Is that the background music's too loud, or RCA? Can you hear both our voices okay over the background music? Is everything sounding? Geo thinks we're building a house. I don't know. Well, yeah, we'll just continue on, man. Sorry, I knocked you off.
I don't personally. You're probably aware that I don't personally hear any background music.
No. I have it running in the background, but the last time I thought it was too low, so I fucked about with it. And now that he thinks that I'm building a house, I've turned it down. RCS says sounds perfect. We're flying. We're going with that.
Okay. All right. So David's house, Jesse's house, is in Bethlehem, and he says he went to tend his father's sheep. Okay. And then he's tending the sheep. Along come a lion and a bear. And he smote both the lion and the bear before returning home to Bethlehem.
Yes.
Okay.
I know of this.
So if I look at all of those as possibly being constellations, if I went in that order from Bethlehem, Virgo, to sheep, Aries, to Leo, Lion, and Ursa Major is within Leo. Of course, there's not, in that desert in those years, there were not just wild bear and wild lion in that desert. That's just not so.
I wasn't thinking there'd be a bear about that often.
Yeah, no. But Ursa Major is within the confines, the 30 degrees of Leo. It's further north than Leo, but it's within the 30 degrees of Leo. But anyway, going on. So he smote them both and returned home. So that was then I have 4 points and 4 points along the circle. Of course, 2 points along the circle could be approached from either direction. But 3 or more points along a circle cannot be if they're in a specific order. So that would be from Bethlehem north over to the sheep, Aries, then heading southward, finding Leo, and then of course you'd have to go through Leo or smite the lion and the bear before returning home. Of course, the story could have been a lot longer and included all of the signs, and that would have been okay, but I don't think it's necessary. So that's the first thing that I would say that testifies to it being actually a planet. And then we get into the armor of David and et cetera, the things he carries on his person.
Cool. Right. Well, do you mind? Jim's just jumped in, so we could give Jim a couple of minutes to come in. Let him talk over. He would know this Bible story a lot better than both of us. As you said to me just before we came on, you've only actually read the story of David twice. And one time was just before you read the paper.
Yeah, one was the second time I read it was just to write the paper.
Jim, you're in now. You're still muted, Jim. Well, he's there if he eventually sees it and unmutes himself. Maybe that'll work. Welcome, Messenger Reveals. Nice to see you here. Hello, Orla. Can everyone hear me now? Yeah, sounds a wee bit better now. Gio, you need to get your hearing checked. There's definitely nobody making anything.
I made the mistake of thinking someone was playing something in the background of a video, but I just left another video running and clicked off of it, and it kept going. So I've done that before. That may be what's going on with Gio.
That could be it too, yeah. So, while we wait for Jim, if you want to continue on, what would you say the next part was David and his armor after the battle? After the battle with
yes. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it. After the thing with the lion and the sheep, he then went to the battle.
Yes. Okay. So there's more description of David than just him traveling those 4 constellations. Those 3 constellations, one of them repeating. There's more description of him than that. The word David actually means to boil. And extrapolated out, it means to boil with love, as in the love of an uncle, if you dig through all the definitions and all their roots.
So by digging through them, one could take digging through them, looking till you find one that matches. What is the general?
No, that's not what I said. What I said was
but it can be seen that way. What I'm asking is, what is the main? What comes up if I search David now? Meaning of David, would it come up to boil?
It will read to boil, and then in parentheses directly after, it will read with love. But they just added the part with love. It does not mean to boil with love.
It's coming up meaning of beloved.
That's a colloquial use of the word. That's not a definition.
No, that's what I'm just looking to find out. There's a website here called behindthename.com for David. Derived from Hebrew, meaning beloved or uncle. David was Sorry, go on ahead.
That's the part I was referring to. It actually means beloved of an uncle. You could say the name means beloved, but that's 3 definitions deep to get to that.
But I'm not seeing to boil.
Okay, then you're not looking it up in the Hebrew.
Okay. David, Hebrew meaning.
I mean, since we're talking only about Old Testament words, instead of looking up a way that tells you the colloquial use of it or the common understanding of it, you could just use Strong's. There's online Strong's for free as well. It's more accurate. I mean, it's accepted by scholarship.
Well, we'll not get bogged down in Google. Just on the Wikipedia here, it says prince or chief rather than meaning king. But that's just Wikipedia. We could look a wee bit further and a wee bit deeper, but it's coming up meaning of beloved more so than anything else.
Yes, it's going to. That's right. That's the reason they talk about it meaning to love or the beloved of an uncle is because to boil makes no sense in their understanding of the text. So they had to find a way to make it make sense. Where for me, the strict definition from the Hebrew to boil makes perfect sense. I mean, Mercury is terribly close to the sun, and the side facing the sun to the side facing the night has, I think, something around a 500-degree temperature difference in Fahrenheit. I mean, it is considerably hot on the sun-facing side of Mercury, being so close, of course.
Just give me 1 second. I'm just going to check the audio here because Geo says there's hammering going on, and like it's annoying me with the audio. With OBS, there's problems now. Just give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, while you're doing that, I'm going to shut off my air compressor.
Hello, Jim.
So I just wanted to add to that. You were talking about boiling. Another well, and they also use it in the Greek, but they would use the word boil to also mean the process of fermenting the grapes. Just because when it's fermenting, you have the bubbles coming up and stuff like that. They would also call that boiling.
The outgassing. Peace and respect to you, Jim. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm better than I deserve.
Good. It's getting cold over here, man. It's probably in the low 40s.
Where's over here?
Just south of Oklahoma City.
Just south of Oklahoma.
And yourself?
New Mexico.
Mexico?
New Mexico.
Oh, no. New Mexico. Oh, you're a New Mexican. Okay, gotcha.
Well, I am for now anyway.
I used to live I grew up in West Texas, just south of Midland, Odessa. So I used to go over to Artesia, Las Cruces, and all over through their Muleshoe.
Now, Jim, I would have a question for you concerning the word David and its meanings. Did you look up and learn all of that of the Greek definitions and also off-gassing due to fermentation because of the name David?
No.
You just happen to know that?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. All right, fine.
This is why we brought him here, man. You know, this is excuse me. Jim's got knowledge. Jim's got mad fucking rap skills as well, you know.
So do you so which account do you use to get these the star idea? Do you use the First Samuel or First Kings or Second Samuel?
I am specifically talking about 1 Samuel 16:23 through 18:5.
Gotcha.
That was in episode 0, Jim. Where were you?
Yeah,
gotcha.
Where were you, man?
Like focusing, I'm guessing, mostly on 17 during the slaying of Goliath.
Yes. It's that occurrence of Goliath. Goliath appears otherwise alive again killed again, etc., etc. Yes.
Oh, so you think Second Samuel is another account?
Well, I'm not really talking about that right now, but
gotcha.
I think it's another story talking further in different detail about the same event.
Okay.
Not that a person could have been killed twice. Not at all.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I was going to say. Well, it's pretty definitive that the stone from the sling isn't what killed Goliath, but the swing of the sword.
That's correct.
Is it also not accepted that someone else killed David or someone else killed Goliath and David got the credit for it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's all kinds of postulation, but I don't think
things
that's
don't matter. We went over that last time, I think, and Richard pointed out that actually isn't poignant to the story. Like.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if you're looking at the Hebrew in 1 Samuel 17 specifically, the biblical Hebrew in there is a late biblical Hebrew. It comes from a different source than the surrounding Hebrew. So like if you were to take 2 Samuel 21, and it's talking about what was his name, Jehoram, the Bethlehemite, and that he kills Goliath and calls him a Gittite,
right.
And it seems like they're using that. It seems like that was the original story, and it's a much shorter, much more condensed, and it uses instead of David, it uses this other guy named Elhanan.
That's right.
And it's not so so much of an epic or anything like that. It was just just a mention. And so it seems like that they took that, embellished it, and built upon it.
Sure, just like the Gospels appear that Christ keeps getting cooler and cooler.
You can do more shit.
Right,
Miracles get better.
Right.
Or hotter and hotter. He gets closer to being the sun.
Depending on how you look at it, yeah. I only require for this view to be plausible and yet not written by mankind that it predates 1610, which was Galileo's naming of the 4 moons over Jupiter, the invention of the telescope with a specialized mirror in it. That's all that I require.
Well, the 4 moons have been discovered longer than that. They weren't named before that, but 3 moons for sure had been known for a long time.
Really? Now, I did not find that in my research.
Yes,
how long of a time?
Back to Mesopotamia. We're talking like 12th century BCE.
How did they see those moons?
They rarely saw 4. Most of the time they saw 3, and as you know, the 4th one was known to be a peaker. But on opportune nights, they would see it once a year, once every couple of years, and it was seemed to be as like a sign, like a real big deal.
With what?
With their naked eyes.
That's a lie.
No, sir. You have to think low light pollution.
Wait, are we talking
extremely
about Jupiter?
low light pollution? They actually have it recorded. They have the moons recorded.
No, I'm not doubting they have the moons recorded. I'm saying the moons are recorded in many places, and they're talking about moons, not people. They're just using people in armament. They're just using people in armament as an example, but that doesn't mean the human eye could see a moon over Jupiter.
Oh no, sir. They don't reference people in armor or anything.
I was in that reference. I was specifically talking about David and Goliath. Yes,
got you.
We're talking about the planet Jupiter. Yes.
Yeah,
yes, correct.
And we're talking about the moons over Jupiter: Io, Ganymede, Callisto, Europa.
That's correct.
And you're saying that people can see it with the naked eye.
Yes. I mean, even now with all the light pollution that we have, you can get a little pocket telescope, one that fits in your shirt pocket and collapses like one of those little pirate telescopes or whatever, and you can easily see the moons.
Jim, I'm just looking here, man, and the earliest, the very first recording. Now, I'm just using Wikipedia, but the very first recording is a Chinese historian in 364 BC seeing one of the moons, Ganymede. In 360.
As what?
Ganymede.
Well, is it the first time naming them?
That was the first recording. According to Wikipedia, the first recording observation is 364 BC.
I know that Gandhi, and then some people say Galileo, but
Yeah, Galileo's
they
what I originally found, but I just looked a wee bit harder and found that. But 364.
maybe I'm mistaking two different astronomical
There is tablets. There's a name.
astronomical discoveries.
There is a name of tablets that did that for the Acadians. I came across that in my research, but
Right?
it only
Yeah,
names
it's a
planets and stuff.
cuneiform tablet.
Yeah, there's no moons were mentioned. And well, I didn't read the damn fucking tablet, like, but
What did the Chinese call Ganymede?
it's probably some Chinese symbol you're going to ask me to pronounce.
No, I'm sure there's an English translation for it somewhere. I mean,
Galileo. No.
that'd be funny, right? Because I mean, you normally in societies, when you discover something, you get to name it, and it's the discovery of it that allows you to name
I'll
it.
read it verbatim here. Chinese historian Xing Zizong, sorry, that I'm trying not to be racist, claimed that the earliest recording of a Jovian moon, Ganymede or Callisto, was noted by a Chinese astronomer, Gandhi, of observation around 364 BC regarding a reddish star. However,
When was the statement made that it was found that long ago? You just said the guy with 3 Z names.
Yes, he was the Chinese
made
historian.
a statement. When did he make this statement?
He lived from 1927 to 2008.
See, now that puts it 1927 something.
No. He said that he found evidence of someone seeing it and recording it in 364. But the only
That's fine if I can find the evidence that in 364 somebody found it. But other than that, it's hearsay.
Well,
He was
in charge of the Chinese. He was in charge
smartphone photos of all 4 moons.
A what?
Smartphone photos? Just using the zoom on a cell phone?
Okay.
That's wild.
He was a member of the Chinese Academy of Sciences and an awardee of an astronomy prize. So he's.
Oh well, he definitely had an iPhone then.
No, but I'm just saying that we could look through his external links and dig into him, but that's something to do, Richard.
Yeah.
I'll send you the link to the page, and you can have a wee look and follow it down. And
On the flip side of that same coin, I do believe that everyone has had this story.
The story of the planets, or
up until
including those moons, yes.
So is this a narrative of the past or a prediction of the future?
Well, it becomes a prediction of the future when the forced interactions cause certain events.
Right. So this is something that hasn't taken place yet.
Yeah, Jupiter's not lit on fire, and the moons Io and Europa are fully intact, and the storm in the face of Jupiter is only presently moving into its forehead.
It is down.
What do you think is going to happen?
It's been in its belly ignition.
The
What do you mean ignition?
The storm is dying down and it has disappeared. I looked a wee bit more since last week. It has vanished a few times since the telescope has been invented. It has disappeared. It's
so
right.
It does have periods of going up and down, and at the moment it's on a down period. But it probably will, if it follows suit, go back up again and be bigger again. Give me 1 second.
That would follow suit, yes.
I need to let the dog out. He's whinging at me here. 1 second.
But what do you think will happen to Jupiter? Like it's going to explode, or?
Well, if the story of David and Goliath is indeed about the planets in our inner solar system, the first 5 visible planets, and stellar bodies, moons that are over Jupiter, and I apply the story of David and Goliath to those stellar objects, you get a series of events that would describe how the signs of end times could be performed.
Right. Well, we'll wait till we get there. That's like episode 6. Right now you're doing David and he's just got his armor. We'll go through the story and how it's relative to things as we go along. Because if we keep doing a reference of the entire story every week, it'll just be the same thing over and over again. So we'll work our way through the story, and we've contradicted and said a few things about what Richard has said. And yeah, what's the next part in the story, Richard? And then we can contradict and shout at you some more.
That'd be fine. So I was talking about the strict Hebrew definition of the name David, meaning to boil. Yes, there are root words which means to love, and a root word beyond that, which means of an uncle. So I get the full definition. I'm not denying it. Jim? Sounded like you tried to say something there.
No, it's fine.
Okay. Moving on, David is described as ruddy. Before we got decent pictures of the planet Mercury, somehow I had it in my head that it was gray, but apparently not gray. It's actually like a rusty reddish brown. So I think ruddish meaning red brown, then that's also a fine description of the planet Mercury.
But just to say, Richard, sorry to interrupt so soon after interrupting, but you said that you seen a movie and you could describe the planets better than NASA last week, and now you're saying that you originally thought it was grey and it's now a reddish brown.
Yes, originally I thought it was gray. That's correct.
But you also said that in your mind in that movie that you seen the planets
I got corrected by the movie. That's correct.
But the movie showed you a grey planet, or the movie showed you a reddish brown planet?
It showed me a reddish brown planet, which I thought was wrong.
Sorry, I misunderstood. I thought that in the movie you said that it was grey and then you found out it was reddish brown.
No, what I said is I thought it was gray.
Okay, continue.
And I did for most of my life. I thought it was gray. But I was wrong, which is okay. I've only seen one picture on NASA.gov, and I don't know what spectrum of light it was in. And frankly, I've been looking for it again at people's request, and I'm having trouble finding the same picture where you can see the 5 major mountain ranges on the south pole of Mercury, and the elevated areas appear brighter in color. I don't know that they are brighter in color, but they appear that way in that picture. And they're centered around Fram rupees. And Fram rupees is not to be confused with all of the impact craters called something rupees, because there's some 17 of them, I think, or maybe 18. There's 17 different something rupees impact craters on the planet Mercury. But I'm telling you, I've been strawman so many times. I'm specifically talking about Fram, F-R-A-M rupees. I understand there are other rupees on there. But Fram rupees is in the center of a mountain range, which has like a closed mouth U shape to it. That would be the stone and the sling of David. There's a long, straight mountain range. I mean, just like pin straight, except for the curvature of the planet. Which I'm saying is his staff. There's also 2 parallel lines on the South Pole. They look like twin mountain ranges running very, very parallel to each other. Maybe not perfectly, but they appear to be. And I'm saying that's the script. And then there's a huge lazy J-shaped one that is around the script that I'm saying is represented in the story by the shepherd's bag. So in the correct order, as the planet turns on the South Pole in a certain color range, is in this order: a staff, a sling, a shepherd's bag, and a script. So I'm saying those are actual mountain ranges on the South Pole. I am having trouble I admit, I'm having trouble finding the picture a second time. In 2012, it popped right up. Why I can't find it now, I have no clue.
Yeah, again, this is more stuff for the audience and ourselves to have a wee goosey gander and
Sure.
have a wee look at things.
Mm-hmm.
That, that's the whole
What's
point
that?
of it. That's the whole point of this, is to give us things to think about and look at. I'm obviously not sure. I'm doing a Google search and I'm not finding anything about Fram rubies. I'm just finding rubies.
No,
Well,
it's R-U-P-E-S, P, not B.
I guess my main question is what leads you to believe that this will happen?
Well, first of all, I wasn't born, and nor did I learn the chemistry of stellar bodies. I didn't study astronomy at all, especially not at the college level that would be required. But when I look at the story in order applied to the characters as planets, it actually would perform what's being described. Like it would mechanically, in physics and electrical theory and gravitational model, I mean, it would work.
But what is it exactly that you think would happen?
Oh, you want me to run through the story for you real quick?
Well, just like the end result. Like I think I'm most interested in Jupiter. I think that's what this all revolves around.
That the electrical discharge off of Mercury into and through Io and Europa, with Europa being water, mostly as far as we can tell, and Io being 90% yellow sulfur, 10% iron, that those things are conductive. And the physical impact that happened pretty much simultaneously would cause shattering of all three of those stellar bodies. That would be Mercury, Io, and Europa. That the electrical discharge could split some of the water. It could ionize the water to the point that it splits into hydrogen and oxygen. That mixing with Io, 90% yellow sulfur, 10% iron, and that going into streaks of burning stuff, going into the outer atmosphere of Jupiter, which it turns out is 21% methane. 21%, could be wrong. High content of methane, igniting the outer atmosphere of Jupiter, sending a shock wave into the core, which we believe is 73% by volume liquid metallic, or by mass liquid metallic hydrogen, and start in the core of the planet a fusion reaction igniting Jupiter.
Okay, but so there's a little bit of a problem there, and I went ahead and did the math beforehand. So it takes about 1.4 times 10 to the 29th kilograms of hydrogen for gravity to create enough force, enough squeeze it hard enough to generate pressures that are high and hot enough for the fusion reaction to begin, in order for the to actually start fusion with the hydrogen. Assuming that the water molecules are split, and Jupiter's mass in kilograms is 1.89 times 10 to the 27th. So so if we divide 1.4 times 10 to the 29th by 1.89 times 10 to the 27th, we can figure out how much bigger Jupiter would have to be, which turns out Jupiter would have to be about 74 times.
I've read 25 and I've read
more
85.
mass,
more
mass than it currently has to reach the bare minimum requisites for just a brown dwarf.
Right. Why is that a problem?
Well, because there's not enough mass. The electric charge
you just quoted, Jim,
is not enough energy nor enough mass.
Everything you just quoted was self-ignition. I did not say self-ignition.
Well, no. When I'm not saying. Wait. So, what are you saying is igniting it? Because when we're talking about hydrogen, we're talking about a nuclear fusion.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So I'm going to go through this slower and smaller steps. All right. So you understand that if you had, say, a balloon of water, right, and that water is hydraulic, right? It doesn't like to be compressed. It fights that. If you applied pressure to all points of the outside of the balloon simultaneously, and say you only had 1 pound of pressure applied in a burst, a sudden impact, as that pressure wave travels from the outside toward the center, because it's affecting with the same amount of force, less material, it increases as it goes toward the center. You understand that, right?
Well, yeah. Well, of course I do. But you realize how much extra force it would have to have?
About 85 times as much pressure as is presently in Jupiter. Yes.
No, even more than that, because we're not just talking about multiplying how much more mass we would need, because in this case, mass is not equaling pressure. We would need a significant amount more.
Okay, I believe that's going to happen. I'm not a nuclear physicist, man. I'm sorry. I'm not.
No, it's fine, man. I just don't see the way that you described it.
I only have an extremely rudimentary idea of understanding of this. I can't prove it chemically.
What I think Jim's trying to put across is, according to the mathematics, physically, what you're saying isn't possible.
No, he's not saying it isn't possible.
No, I'm
He's
saying that
I
just
misunderstand the
going
pressures.
by its own weight, because and presuming that that we have all this hydrogen, that's extra mass, because I didn't calculate, how much of the mass of Jupiter is hydrogen. That's calculating assuming that the entire planet of Jupiter is hydrogen.
Okay.
Which we're pretty sure it's not.
It's
Right,
supposed to be
it's
73% by mass, according to NASA. But
Liquid metallic
but anyway,
hydrogen
look, for all I know, God's going to have heaven parked on the backside of it and shoot a laser beam into the backside simultaneously to make it work. I don't know.
Literally, as you
But
said,
I'm
that,
just
God
saying this is
popped
what the story's about.
God popped into the chat just as you said that. Well, no. Right, we'll continue on with the story because we keep jumping to the end. That's what I'm saying. We keep jumping to the end. It's going to ruin it. So, as you were...
Well, I mean, I understand. I understand because what I'm saying is like super weird. I get it. It sounds super weird to me too. No, I'm not trying to apologize for it.
Oh,
I'm just saying it's a really new idea. I get that.
Oh yeah, it is, and I think that you should flesh it out more. I certainly do. But
I don't know
that
how
there's
I
a lot
would
of
without
legwork.
igniting Jupiter. I don't know. I don't know that I could really prove it absolutely would happen. I can't.
Well, I'm not saying that prove it can happen, but what I'm saying is try to build your case more.
Well, it is true that electricity traveling through water can separate water into hydrogen and oxygen. Isn't that true?
Yes, that's how we get aluminum, aluminium, whatever way you want to say it.
So assuming this is going to happen, what is the benefit of us knowing?
That sounded like not the end of a sentence. I'm waiting for the rest of it.
What is the purpose for one of it being cryptic and having this dual meaning? People for thousands of years have assumed it to mean something else,
right?
But really it means something cryptic that we didn't explore until Richard Madsen figured it out in 2019.
Richard Madsen didn't figure it out in 2019, but that far beside the point. Okay, so why cryptic? Well, like Shannon Q said, if prophecy happens, the parishioners do it. That's a loose quote, but it's generally what she said.
Yeah,
and she's right. She's right. People are trying to make this stuff happen. Mm-hmm. So it couldn't be that they do it and then they make God impotent. That wouldn't work.
Sure, I agree.
Also, if I don't know, like you when you asked your mom what it was going to be like to kiss a girl, and she told you, it's nice to have a little bit of a heads up.
But we will see it a split second before we're dead.
Why would we die?
Well, Jupiter keeps us safe from a lot of stuff. If something were to happen to Jupiter, it would get flung out of orbit. There's no reason to believe that Jupiter would stay in orbit. The reason that the distance that it is from Earth, so it'll either come hurtling towards us or hurtling away from us.
It's possible.
Then we would have to deal with debris, and then added debris from the Kepler belts.
Yes, that's right. In fact, that's part of the story.
It originally did start further out in the solar system and worked its way in. They have done.
That's a theory.
They've done computer models to show that. No, If you look at other galaxy or other like ours, solar systems like ours, most of the gas giants are further out. Ours is an anomaly.
Yeah, that's right. And most of them are binary solar systems.
Yeah, I know. But we are, in reference to Jupiter, they have done computer models, and they're pretty sure that it did start further out and worked its way in, and it explains an awful lot. I'm really only concerned with where it is right now, though. Which is what I was just about to say, which makes no difference to your story because it's where
right. It's fine. Wherever it came from is fine. So, gosh, there was a thing, and now the thing is gone. Where'd the thing go? Somebody help.
David was on his way to the battle.
Oh, I wasn't even going that far back, but that'd be fine too. So, obviously, because of the lit face of Jupiter being brighter than, and the storm in the face of Jupiter being bigger than, it's the first thing you would see if you were like physically approaching in outer space in a spacesuit. Jupiter, the first thing you would easily notice about it is not the four major moons. If it were facing the right way, the thing you would see most easily would be the storm in the face. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, right, but I think most cosmologists and astronomers hold to the idea that the storm is going to blow itself out one day.
Why is that important?
Well, because the storm isn't something that I think is going to last.
Right.
Like you're saying that it's growing bigger, but we've actually seen it getting smaller.
I did not say that.
As I said earlier,
what are you saying is getting bigger?
No. As I said earlier, it's getting smaller, and it probably will get bigger again. Richard mentioned, I do believe, if I'm misquoting you,
are we talking about penises?
No.
What?
No penises. Forehead. No. The thing moved to his forehead.
There's a storm reorganizing, a similar storm with a similar appearance. They're calling it Little Red, and it's appearing in the forehead of the giant.
There's also another storm that they found for I believe it's the first time that they've ever found one on I want to say it's Uranus, but I think it's Neptune.
Well, that has little to do with Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Earth, Mercury.
No, of course, but yeah, I'm just talking about like in significance, like in size and stature. It's a significantly huge storm.
Okay, not part of the story.
Okay,
so back to the story. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Try and get back on track with the story here, because that's what the whole thing's about. Jim, you and Richard should have an episode where you go to Eden. That would definitely be worthwhile, and you can go mad. And
I'd really appreciate that, Jim, if you would.
You can have free reign then, man. What I mean is you can go off the story.
Yeah, but you know me, I'll talk forever.
I know.
No, that's okay. That's good for audience.
6 a.m. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Well, I might occasionally interrupt you if that'd be acceptable.
Richard's a good moderator. Richard, I'm not even going to say what I thought he was going to be a whisperer, because that person. And just as an announcement to every moderator in the chat, if they see that certain person coming in under a sock account or their real account, just ban them instantly. Nobody wants to have that person around them anymore. They're not worth our time and space. Everybody knows who I'm talking about.
Get that out of here.
Truly, Jim, I appreciate you even coming in for however long you do.
Of course, man. Absolutely. I'm happy to talk with you.
Yeah, well, we're aiming for an hour an episode, and it's been 45 minutes. So either we kick Jim out or we just have him for the rest of the episode.
Might as well just keep him if he'll stay.
Yeah, well, he's fucking here now. It's not like we're going to get rid of him. It's like we're fed.
I mean, yeah. I'm not out of beer, so let's keep trucking.
Okay, so between the four signs of the zodiac in the correct order from a point of view of astronomical north. Yes, it requires that you're looking at it from astronomical north. That those in order come in counterclockwise direction as all the planets turn. That indeed there is on the sun-facing side a very high temperature on Mercury. That it is indeed reddish in color. That it does indeed have 5 major mountain ranges, 2 of them twin, making 4 objects that David carries, quote unquote. That are shaped like a staff, a sling, a shepherd's bag, and a scrip. That David has a total of 7 bigger brothers. That would be not including Goliath. However, 4 of them stay home and only 3 come to the war. That the biggest one of those 3 stands in the middle. That would be Eliab. That would be the earth. That also is true. That the smaller one stands out front. The medium-sized one stands toward Saul. So all that's true of the planets.
Well, as we said last, Venus is a wee bit smaller, but Venus has been referred to as a sister planet to Earth because it is so similar in size. So,
right.
Just to point that out, it's not a giant difference as much as what Richard would be pointing out. It is a very small difference in size.
That's correct. Yeah, that would be Abinadab, Eliab, and Shammah. This is weird. This is off Bible. This might even be something I shouldn't even talk about, but I think it's really strange that there's a certain amount of us who think that life may have existed sometime in the far, far past on the planet Mars. And I find it interesting that the word Shammah, which would represent Mars in the story, the name Shammah actually means came to ruin, as in once was not ruined. I think that's weird and
By
interesting.
life, do you mean
I'm
little
not
green men?
not sure it
or-
matters.
By life, do you think little green men, or do you think bacteria and some sort of trees? Or
I think it's impossible for me to know that.
oh well, it's a big difference between there's life as in primordial with bacteria,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's little green men sitting on their iPhones having the chat, and the skies get wiped
Yeah.
out.
Well, actually, I would think neither one is what I would be referring to. If those are the only two options, I choose silence. But
do you find any significance in the attestation to Goliath's height, the 6 cubits in a span? Do you find any correlation there?
yes, I believe that if Jupiter were ignited, it would be at least 6 times brighter and a handbreadth brighter than any star in the sky.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you measure light by a hand's breadth?
Well, it's 6 and a little bit.
Okay.
Because
So
a
it would be
hand's breadth
6
is about half a
handwidths, like
cubit.
like aura of it.
What?
Like you mean like the halo effect that it would produce?
No, I wasn't trying to say that. I mean that if it were ignited as a short life star, then it could be up to, I think it's trying to say 6 and a handbreadth. That's 6 cubits. If one star is 1 cubit, for instance, if your average star is 1 cubit, it would be 6 and a span cubits of brightness. So it'd be
But
easy to pick.
Even if
it
you had
just
the
means-
energy to do it, you don't have the mass to even have the smallest brown dwarf.
Yeah, that's great.
You're repeating
I still think
yourself,
it's gonna
though. Yeah, but it doesn't matter physically whether or not, because he did say that God could appear with a lightning bolt and just shoot it in the ass.
I'm not saying that any of this is like. Look at it this way. You want to talk about unlikely? How about Mercury gets knocked off course and impacts a moon 5 times further away than we are from the sun, and it hits it in such just a perfect way? That's like throwing a BB 50 miles and hitting another BB with it. I mean,
Right.
it's an
and assuming that it
impossible
wouldn't
shot.
affect our rotation.
Right. That's what I'm saying. This stuff, I mean, it's extremely unlikely to happen. Every bit of it.
Right.
But
It's
that's part of
highly
the
possible
point.
that our sea levels would drop. Maybe our moon would distance itself.
I don't know.
Well, it wouldn't really matter if Jupiter became a sun. Would probably be fucked anyway. Like, you know.
Well, it's 5 times further away from the sun, and it's much smaller in mass. So I don't think it would like directly hurt us
Yeah.
as long as it just maintains its orbit.
So his armor, he's if you're using the First Samuel account in 17, it talks about it being from different parts. He's got his greaves, he's got his javelin, or scimitar, and a spear. He's got the weaver's beam, which is his what he would attach to his sling.
What? A weaver's beam to the sling? Where do you get that?
A weaver's beam. It's talking about the size of his sling.
No, it's talking about the shaft. The shaft of the spear is a weaver's beam. You need to check that again.
No, he's they would have a leather sling attached to the spear to help them throw it.
Okay. That doesn't explain why he slings a stone, but okay.
Well, right, but we were talking about his armor, and these are all things that are listed in that armor list.
Right, sure, go ahead.
Well, I'm just wondering, like, where you think they tie in, because they make a point to say that they came from different armies from different times of his
Historically, that would be accurate. Yes, it's not part of the story where the armament comes from, but okay, historically that would be accurate.
The whole point.
Okay, so you're claiming it's both historical and a foretelling.
No.
Jim
I'm saying
never said
Christians and Jews think it's historical, and it has nothing to do with history.
Richard is saying that the story itself is an interpretation of what is to come. It is not history, and he's not claiming it as history. He knows that it's a representation of a story, and he has.
So, what was the purpose in having the Jews believe that it was a real story?
So we didn't throw away the story.
But why would we throw a story away if we knew that the planets were going to collide? I think people would definitely still hang on to them.
We didn't know.
Well, God would know, wouldn't he?
Without a perceived historicity or religious value to the story would not have been preserved. It's just fiction.
I mean, I would say that there are some, arguably worse stories in the Bible that are preserved. You've got Elisha that sends two she-bears to kill 42 kids. Like 42 that managed to stay in the Bible.
Right, but that's never. That's going to be so far off topic. Yeah, I'd love to have you want to talk about Elijah when we appear together? We'll do that.
Yeah, Jim.
Well, no, I don't want to talk about Elijah. I'll just giving an analogy, that it would stay in the Bible, just because of its importance. But I feel like, though? Well, it's important because we're just now finding out the truth.
That's what I think.
The story is being revealed now.
Why?
Right, Jim, shorthand version, right? The story has been kept over time by the religion to maintain it. It was believed to be true. The story now, according to Richard, he has figured it out from not figured it out, sorry, but you know what I mean, Richard, yes. Has got his interpretation.
So this was something that we were meant to figure out, like this is a puzzle.
Probably, yes, but let me just finish this and then, you and him can do your thing.
Go for it.
We'll finish up here and do all that, right? It's not an actual history story. It's not a history book. It is a story that is a representation of what is actually happening. This is his interpretation of that representation, which is now figured out. The reason it was kept and believed to be real was to maintain the story over time so that we would know about it now. The point and reason being behind it, we haven't got to yet because you keep interrupting them. But we will get to that bit. Maybe in episode 2. I'm not being rude. I'm trying not to be. I'm trying to keep it funny. Richard laughed. As long as one person laughs, the joke lands. Right.
But everything Math Pig just said is correct.
Thank you.
I don't think it's historically accurate, though everyone has an encrypted story. How can I justify that it's encrypted and this is a plausible solution? Well, the Bible says that the Bible is encrypted. I have hidden manna. I have not given you to eat of the milk but the milk of the word, and not given you the meat because you couldn't eat it then and you can't even eat it now. And that's a preaching to the apostles. So yes, the Bible says it is cryptic. It is not. There is no such thing, according to the Bible, as a plain reading of the Bible.
Everybody takes their own interpretation of it. This is Richard's interpretation of how he can make sense of the contradictions, as some people would say, how he can make sense of the different stories.
Well, it's a bit backwards, but yes.
Yeah, I'm layman. But
I just want to add that. I mean, you have to remember though that is a Christian teaching. This is a New Testament teaching. This isn't something that the Jews were worried about. The Jews didn't. They weren't considered babes that could only that were only able to drink milk, like Paul was saying in Hebrews 5. But in fact, in Isaiah it says, "Whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast." So the Jews had a very good understanding of their Old Testament, and they didn't think it was a mystery.
You only remember that one passage because it says breasts in it. Okay, just admit it.
Okay, so yeah, they're in the desert.
We're going to round up. We're going to do 5-10 minutes of because we got absolutely nowhere. We got like 4 lines into the conversation or into the story. It's great.
I don't expect it to go much faster than this. Actually,
no. We're going to go at least 10 or 20 episodes, and then we've series 2 in the Book of Enoch. Check back for that.
Sure.
But anybody want to do any questions? Have they any questions? We've got a few people in. We've got the messenger reveals in tonight, Richard. If you haven't noticed the chat, he's
hello, John. I can't see it.
Yeah, we've got Maya, we've got Nerdy, and a few others. And yeah, if I miss you, fuck it, I missed you. So if you have any questions in the chat, if anybody wants to tag me, we'll give it 5-10 minutes. I'm open to anything on topic. Fuck it, off topic. It's my channel. Richard can go on topic, and Jim, whatever's up to yourself. Like, so we'll throw it out for a wee while and see if anything comes back. Richard, have you anything coming up in the next couple of days, or any interviews, or anything popping up?
Well, I'm hoping for an interview with Jim Majors. And then, of course, I have regular Wednesdays and Thursdays on my channel where I'm actually appearing on other people's channels and mirror it to my channel. and those would be the series David and Goliath as the Interstellar Bodies, specifically named A History of the Interstellar Objects series, and
Inverted
then
commas,
with
inverted commas. The history is inverted commas. That's our copy. That's our disclaimer.
yeah. And then on this one guy, I'm doing a series that we're almost done with on the Book of Revelation, where I'm just using mostly questioning and where where it's too subtle, making suggestions, and he approves my suggestions or disapproves them when we argue about it. In the Book of Revelation, the series Suffer Revelation on this one guy. On this coming Saturday, this next Saturday that pops up in this week, I want to get the time right.
Say it your time. Say it at your time, and everybody else will
at
figure it out.
1800 Central. I'm sorry, 6:00 p.m. Central. I'm having the founder of Atheist Edge on, Master Sergeant Jim Hall, and we're going to have a conversation about plausible solutions of worldview, religious and otherwise. That is, he's going to be critiquing and basically trying to disprove what I'm saying on other topics, not this topic.
I love that you pointed out that you've got another guy in to try and disprove.
Jim Hall's a good dude.
Oh yeah, great guy.
Be mindful you missed it all. We're winding up. Yeah, so no chat, no questions from the chat, except for Eason Works, who wants to know how do he keeps his sponges dry.
Keep them away from water.
You put a wee squeeze of fairy liquid on them, and you should leave it a wee bit wet with some fairy liquid on it. It keeps the bacteria off. It's good.
What kind of liquid?
Fairy liquid.
What's that mean?
Washing up liquid.
Oh.
Yes, Fairy Liquid. Fairy is the most popular brand over here. It's like when people say Hoover and vacuum cleaner. Vacuum cleaner is actually the name. Hoover is a brand.
In the United States, you could say Dawn dishwashing liquid.
There you go. Dawn.
You could just say Dawn.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just
put a wee drop of Dawn on it.
A wee drop.
That'll keep it nice and fresh.
As long as I don't take my dong out, we'll be all right. Like.
No, not the same word. Not the same word.
I don't know what happened. I think I cut out.
Yeah, just put your pants back on. Put your trousers back on, Jim. Jim only does live streams without trousers.
No, are you kidding me? It's 6:00. Like that's just wasting time. I'm just gonna take them right back off.
Right. Well, we've got no questions from the chat. Yeah, we've got no questions from the chat. This one guy's looking for some fairy liquid. God, the good one, wants to know where his wrench is. Oh, right. Oh, well, there. Excuse me. There you are, God. Media moderator now. And it's always funny when he pops in. Yes, do you know? God flashed his face on screen today, nearly. Very, very close. Very close. He pulled his mask up and forgot he was streaming. It was fucking hilarious. Right.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, I know. He's only done it like 7 or 8 times before. Okay, right. We're diverging again with my fucking tangents. 7 seconds till we hit an hour. Count it down like New Year's Eve. 4, 3, 2, 1. Right. Messenger reveal. Definitely, if you can do this sort of time. No, you have to be in my Discord server to get a wrench. If you're in my Discord server, I can trust you. And bar God, because God doesn't do Discord, but he is God after all. And he gave me a wrench in his channel, so I sort of have to fucking reciprocate. Anyway, Messenger reveals. If you can do it about this time, some Tuesday night, that would be very much enjoyable. And we should definitely do that. Jim, thank you very much for turning up. Very appreciate your, I don't know what it is, your attitude, your skills, your brain, your Bible.
Yeah, sure. And one more thing I wanted to add, Richard. I don't know if you were aware or not, but since you're focusing on First Samuel, I would look at the textual variants of the Septuagint and chapter 7, the additional supplementary material that was added.
I'm aware of it.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think it's like verses like 12 through 31 and 50 and 55 through 58. And I don't remember the last one. It's a verse in chapter 18.
I'm sure for religious people who are very concerned about when these things happened, that's important.
Well, I mean, it might bear weight on your interpretation of it.
If we can prove that Chinese guy really existed and named those moons, maybe.
Well, he was. Actually...
Oh no, I'm just referring to the Septuagint variants.
Okay.
Jim, I'll pass you on Richard's email. How's that?
What?
Oh, Jim has that.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah. So you just can have a chat and get it sorted. And yeah, no problem. So, everybody, really appreciate you turning up for the actual first episode. We did do some story stuff. We got a hashtag Bible expert in, so we made a little bit of effort, you know.
I just talk too much.
Yes.
You'll learn that. You'll learn one of these days and stop inviting me.
Man, Tuesday night was fucking 7 in the morning. I think I went to bed on Tuesday night my time because of you. But, you know, we'll not even get into that. Right. Everybody, thanks very much for turning up. We got some good viewers tonight and we got some nice people in. And, yeah, appreciate everybody even fucking wanting to come and listen to me. Even if you can understand what I'm talking with my stupid Irish accent. And... yeah, love to everybody, all sides, all banters, and thanks for turning up. See you all later. Bye.
Yeah.
Peace and respect, Richard. Peace and respect.
Oh, peace and respect to you. Thank you so much,
love,
Jim, as
much
well.
love.
Much